Shabbat Shalom. It's great to be here with our friends in New York and with all of our friends streaming from all over the world. This Shabbat is a very significant Shabbat. Most of us know that the whole Rav Ashlag makes it very clear, and this is the lens through which we need to understand every Shabbat, that all the ancient biblical stories are not dealing with history, nor are they dealing with what happened to great and minor souls thousands of years ago. But each word, each story is a understanding for the individual, for me. The whole story of this Torah is me, my life and my work. And what happens on Shabbat, and it's important that we understand this, and that's why it's important whether you come in person or you stream. But the purpose of Shabbat is to correct our consciousness. There are some people, unique, righteous souls, maybe in every generation, that can maintain strong consciousness, connection with the light of the Creator all the time. Most of us can't. Most of us fall. Most of us need an uplifting of our consciousness, a correction of our consciousness. And the purpose of Shabbat, why we come together, why we make this connection, is to fix our consciousness. This Shabbat is special because it is the moment before what is called the exile in Egypt begins. So whatever is revealed on this Shabbat is a way to protect ourselves from exile, a way to protect ourselves from negativity. So everything we're going to share today, besides hopefully the higher level of consciousness fixing that occurs simply because we desire it to come together and understand that that is what is happening. The consciousness we're going to share today is also the consciousness of protection from negativity. So much so, the Kabbalists teach, if a person is able to truly both understand and live the consciousness that we're going to share, he or she will never experience any negativity. This is what we have available to us today. The Kabbalists teach, as we said, that this is the what's called the exile, or the dark period begins. But most of us know historically that doesn't seem to be correct, and certainly not in the literal story of the Torah. It is true, Jacob leaves the physical world on this Shabbat, leaving Joseph and the other brothers and their families in Egypt, but in prosperity. Their life was going great still for many, many years. Why is this moment, why is this Shabbat considered what's called the beginning of the exile, the entry into the dark period? When in reality, if you look at what was happening on a physical level, the children of Israel were still living in prosperity and goodness. And there's a quote from one of the great Kabbalists, Sfat Emet, that I want all of us to think about. Because, often those of us who are even awakened to the spiritual work, we wait until the problem to really try. I was actually having a conversation last night with one of our friends. It's human nature. It's the battle that we have. But it is human nature to wait for the problem to try to find the solution. But the problem didn't start when it appeared. This is the quote. Even though, referring to the Israelites, but really referring to every single person within whose lives everything seems to be going okay right now. Even though the children of Jacob were not feeling, even after his death, even after he left this world, they were not experiencing any negativity. The physical problems do not begin only after there is a falling in consciousness. A person will never experience any negativity in this world unless it is preceded by a decrease of consciousness. So therefore, why do we call this Shabbat the Shabbat to the beginning of the potential? And hopefully we're going to learn the antidote. But why is this Shabbat called the beginning of the dark period? Not because anything physically happened. Slavery did not begin. The darkness did not begin. But first, we have to understand that darkness does not begin when it appears. Darkness begins when consciousness falls, when connection decreases. And that's what happened on this Shabbat. There was a fall of consciousness, that then will allow hundreds of years of darkness, then allow hundreds of years of pain and suffering. So this is where we have to understand that any problem a person might be experiencing now did not begin when they think that problem began. That problem began when there was a fall in connection, when there was a fall in consciousness. So what we want to speak about, and it's very important, but what we want to speak about now is to understand as precisely as we can what was the failure of the Israelites, and what are the tools that we can use when we're feeling a fall of consciousness, so as not to allow the dark period to begin. Where do we focus our consciousness? What are some of the tools that we can use so that we don't fall into the dark period? So the Kabbalists teach, again, that at the seed of what allowed or enabled or precipitated the fall of the Israelites into the dark period, it says, most of us know the secrets and everything in the Torah, between one portion to the next, there's always space. Sometimes just 9 letters of space, sometimes a whole open line, but there always has to be space between one portion that ends and the next portion that begins. There's only one portion in the entire Torah written for thousands of years in this way, directed by the Creator to Moses. There's only one portion where there is no space between the ending of the previous portion and the beginning of the next. The one that we have this Shabbat, Vayechi. Vayechi, which is the beginning of this week's portion, begins immediately after the last word, with one space between the last portion and this portion. And the Kabbalists asked the question, it's a very interesting tradition for thousands of years. Why is it that the portion is what's called closed? They say because the seed, the root of the darkness was shenistemu einehem velibam. There was a closing of the eye and there was a closing of the heart. The closing of the eye and the closing of the heart. Which means, as we begin to understand, that if you ask the question, as we did, what is the failure? What is the fall? What is the consciousness that precipitates a dark period? When the eyes and heart are closed. So let's understand what that means. To understand the secret of those two elements, both how the eyes and heart close and how do we open the eyes and the heart, we go to a story in the book of Kings. Most of us know that the first temple, which was, and we have to say what a temple means. We know it's important to remind ourselves we do not concern ourselves necessarily with the physical structure that was created, whereas we know that the temple simply represents the state within which we have to be living. But we learn from the physical temple what this temple, this structure, this spiritual structure that I am building needs to be. So King David desired to build the temple. He did not have the merit to build a physical temple. King Solomon, his son, Shlomo HaMelech, created the physical temple, which again mirrors, it's not important so much to know what thousands of years ago, what happened spiritually even in the temple that King Solomon built, but most importantly, what it is that we need to be building within ourselves. And this is again from the book of Kings, chalot Shlomo livnot et Beit Hashem. When King Solomon completed the building of the structure, the physical structure, but more importantly, the spiritual structure of the temple, and all of his desire was invested and completed in the building of the temple. And he has a vision. The light of the Creator is completely revealed to Solomon, telling him again, awakening for him, but maybe more importantly for us, what is the state of temple? What is the state when you have or you're living in a way that you're supposed to be living? Shamati el tfilatcha vel tchinatcha. The Creator says to King Solomon, I heard your prayers and your entreaties. Asher itchananta lefanai, that you beg for me for the temple to be as it should be, and as a physical structure, but again, more importantly, as a spiritual structure. Vehayu einai velibi sham kol hayamin. I promise you, the Creator tells King Solomon, that my eyes and my heart will be there all the time. This is the ultimate state of spiritual temple, which is, again, what we are hopefully endeavoring to build for ourselves. To have the eyes, eini velibi sham kol hayamim, to have the eyes and the heart of the Creator there all the time. Let's understand on a basic level, and the truth is, again, every one of the aspects that we're going to speak about today truly deserves a much deeper exploration, but here are the basics of the consciousness. We know the Creator does not have a physical eye, certainly not a physical heart. What is the secret? What is the spiritual secret of the Creator's eye? What is the spiritual secret of the Creator's heart? When we go through life, there are moments, we've all had them, hopefully, where we feel the providence, the direct hands of the Creator in everything that we're doing, or at least in moments of what we're doing. There are moments in life when we feel this is completely being seen, being directed, being created by the light of the Creator. And then, of course, there's degrees of that. And to that worst degree is when a person does not experience or does not think that the light of the Creator is involved at all. It's all his or her ego. But what is the eye of the Creator? Think back to a moment, hopefully this week, but in your life, where things were happening and you experienced that this is all divine. This is all the hands of the Creator that is creating the situation, whether it's a relationship, whether it's work, whether it's your spiritual development. When we speak about the eye of the Creator shining on the individual, we're talking about a state where everything is perfect, not because it's exactly what I want, but I see that this is the handiwork, as it's called, of the light of the Creator. That hashgacha, as is referred to, that divine providence that the Kabbalists refer to, is experienced by the individual as he or she goes through their life.